Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nicholas J. Wedlow, the CEO of Unfaltering Fathers, as well as the author of Overnight Father. And welcome to another episode of Unfaltering Fathers. We have a special guest in here with us today. And I just want to dive right in and give him an opportunity to introduce himself.
Nicholas, thank you for having me on.
Man, thanks for joining us, man. So we have Mr. Dennis Wirth here with us today, and he has a lot going on regarding fatherhood, and I'm going to give him the platform to kind of tell us about himself and share his story with us, and give fathers some guidance and support all across the globe. So, Mr. Dennis, man, tell us about yourself. Where you from?
I'm from Central Massachusetts, so I got the Boston accent. Don't let that scare you. But I do stand-up comedy here in Central Massachusetts, and I had always wanted to try stand-up. I didn't know how to get started. And then one night I saw a class at the local community college. They were giving a class, and when I took the class on comedy, they said the real-life stuff is so much funnier than anything you can make up. So what's the real life stuff for me? Well, the real life stuff for me, I was going through a bit of divorce, and I saw, as most of us, my son was being caught right in the middle of it, and it was tearing me up. So I kind of talked about it. I used comedy, as a way to, talk about the struggle that most fathers go through. And so for the first routine I came up with, a character called Superhero. It was a joke. And I was doing this routine at every comedy show, and literally after every comedy show almost, somebody was chasing me down in the parking lot saying, wait up, I want to tell you my story about dealing with family law. And I was just hearing from all these fathers and a lot of mothers too. I don't want to say it's just a father problem, just telling me, the stories of dealing with family law, gross unfairness they were going through. And these stories were blowing my mind. And, this was before the internet and stuff like that I went through it. So I just, I'm an American. I thought, I can't believe this is happening. Something like family law. It's so unfair, never mind the parents, but my son was suffering. I could see how it was mentally affecting him. And so all of a sudden, it was bothering so many people. Nobody knew who to talk to. All of a sudden, I became the guy to talk to through comedy because I was walk about it. Nobody else was. So I took the character, the child support superhero. I created a page on Facebook of the character, and I had a couple of followers at first. It did okay. Then all of a sudden, I posted a post that was a picture of a guy holding a picture that said 14 parents worldwide commit suicide every year due to child each week due to 6 issues. And this post just went viral. Facebook told me it hit something like 3.5 million people. And from that, they just started following the page. I think we're at 15,000 followers. But like I said, when I started out, I didn't have anybody to turn to. I was going through court being treated so unfairly. I'm looking around like, am I the only person dealing with this or what? I had no idea. And I've had so many young fathers write into the page and tell me, thank you for creating this. I was alone. And I'm like, no, you're not the first one to get the family law. Trust me. And it's kind of, the character's kind of taken on a life of its own. Early on in comedy, I did some low budget acting films. Yep.
Real quick, what's the name of your Facebook page?
It's the child support superhero.
Okay,
He's
I'm gonna
kind
drop
of a
that in the
superhero
comments.
who fights to give kids mom and dad back equally, but
child support superhero.
Yeah, the child support superhero, right? So it's done in a comedic way. I found out early on, like, nobody wants to listen to you complain. If you tell people about how unfair the family law system is, they don't want to hear it. They'll listen for a little while, then it's just Dennis. If I could tell it in a comedic way, if I could make you laugh about it, then you want to listen to my message. You want to hear what I got to say. So I figured out comedy was a way to get the message across and share, the problem of family law, what was going on in this country. So I contacted a guy I had met early on in act. He went on he's won film all over England. He flew out to LA festivals there. His movies get shown at Comic Cons. And I told him, the character, every time I post now, I'm between 5,000 people, 10,000, 50,000 people. I got access to a lot of people, hearing the message. So we decided we were going to make a movie about the character. We're going to do it in a comedic way and talk about the problems of family law and child support and parental alienation. And I'm trying to hit the father's point of view, the mother's point of view, the court's point of view, and we're hoping through the page we can make the movie take off and do some good spreading awareness. That's the key to solving any problem. I feel is people got to know there is a problem before it's solved.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's amazing. I'm really honored that you're taking on the reins and really leading the charge with this. With this effort in a very genius way. Like you're using comedy to like drive this message home, and like you said, like if you make it funny, people will tune in more and actually pay more attention to it instead of just whining and complaining, which is a different approach that I don't think that people realize should be taken. So hats off to you for doing that, man. Another thing I find that's really interesting is they're teaching comedy classes at community college now. Like that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was a night course. It was $75 I could take, and I never thought anything would come of it. I always wanted. I was like, yeah, I'll look back years from now. Ha ha! I tried comedy, but I took it. One thing led to another, and it took off. I'm doing pretty good with it.
Nice, man. I'm happy to hear that, man. I'm actually interested in hearing some of these jokes. Like I know, comedians they're kind of hesitant to share some of their material on certain platforms, but I'm pretty sure I can relate to some of this stuff because I went through some nasty child support stuff too. So if you would be honored to share like just a joke or two with us, I think that would be amazing.
Well, the child support superhero I talk about how Superman's got it made, and the child support, hit superhero not so much. I say, I mean, I don't know how it's adult material. I don't know, tuned in here. I don't want to offend anybody, but there's certainly, if you want to go on YouTube, there's links. I mean, there's, I put down, I find it interesting that America's supposed to be the greatest country in the world, yet they need a third of my paycheck to raise a child. Then I turn on the TV and I see where you can raise a kid over in Africa to the price of a cup of coffee. So clearly, I'm living in the wrong country. I should be over in Africa. But the child support superhero I talk about, Superman's got a big red S in his chest. Child support superhero has a green $sign. Superman has knee-high red leather boots. I can only afford a pair of flip-flops. Superman's long red cape. I got an old beach towel with holes in it. Superman can leap tall buildings in a single bound. With the money I paid my ex, she can purchase the tall building Superman leaps over. Superman's faster than a speeding bullet. With the money I paid my ex, the state of Massachusetts can give my ex money from my paycheck faster than the speed of light. Superman's stronger than a locomotive. After my divorce, I walked out of court feeling like I had been hit by a locomotive. But
man,
here's what the child support superhero does. Okay, he waits until it's late at night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. He puts on his costume and he goes down to the local parking lots. Then he scans the parking lots with his X-ray vision until he sees a car with a young couple making out inside of it. Then he slowly sneaks up to the car. He slides along the car up to the driver's side window. He breaks the window. The package comes up, then goes down the street screaming, "You'll thank me later!" And that's the
man. That's pretty good, man. That is
go
pretty
on
good.
YouTube and you can see the full.
What is your YouTube?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm making people laugh, and plus, their understanding is a problem.
Yeah,
it's under my name, Dennis Wirth. So if you go Dennis Wirth and look the character, the child support superhero.
Nice, man. I'm gonna definitely go show you some support, man, and look at some of those videos and share them with some of my friends and family because that's actually some pretty funny material, bro. It's really
that's
genius
how I found you guys. Every year, Facebook says, "Do you want to donate money on your birthday to a cause?" And I always said, "Boy, I wish there was a Father's Rights organization." And this year, they recommended you guys to me. Do you want to raise money for the Father's Rights movement on your birthday? I'm like, yeah, you better believe I do. That was how I found you guys. I think it's great what you're doing too.
Appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to connect, educate, and inspire fathers from all walks of life, to be role models for their children and pursue time with and custody of their children.
Right.
And I think it's amazing to connect with dads like you all across the globe who've shared a similar struggle, and we can all relate to one another and actually support each other and help educate and
That's
network.
how you get through it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Knowing
that's
you're
the
not
only way.
alone. That's how you get through it. When you know you're not alone, it makes it a little bit easier when you know you're not the only person going through it for sure.
Absolutely, man. So let's talk about your family unit a little bit. You mentioned you have a son. Tell us about your son.
My son, me and my ex, we were friends for a long time. We got together for the wrong reasons, and he was born. We tried to do the right thing. We moved in together, and it lasted about a year. And we figured out, we got together for the wrong reasons. She was messing around with a guy at work. We broke up. Obviously, I moved out, and we came to kind of an agreement between ourselves of, this will be the schedule. And one time, all of a sudden she calls up and says, "Oh, I think he should be in the same bed every night, and I want him on Sundays, which was my day." I'm like, "Well, how about he's in the same bed at my house every night instead of yours? Is that fair?" I said, "I'm just trying to be fair." So I'm picking him up, and it wasn't about whose bed he was in. She wanted to show she was in charge. I said, "Well,
Yeah.
Sunday's my day. We had an agreement. You're not going to get him." She shows up at my house with the police to get him off me. Who cares how this affects her son? He's going to see mom and dad with the police. No, she had to have it her way.
Wow.
Cop knocks on my door. First thing he says, "Do you have any paperwork saying you can see your son?" I said, "No, I don't." I said, "Does she have any paperwork saying she can see him?" She doesn't need any. Like, I need paperwork saying I can see our children, and she don't need any. So,
Wow.
yeah, Tom, let's get through this. He's like, "Well, the law says she gets him. You're going to have to go to court if you want to see him." I got to pick up my son out of my house, hand him to her at the door. They walk out with the police. Who cares? It was just she never thought of putting her son first. It was she had to get it her way. Next morning, I'm down the courthouse. I got to figure out how all this works. I got to get a court date. Meantime, I can't see my child. I finally get a court date. We went in for a temporary order. I got him. It was like a couple nights, during the week, and then like a couple days. It was like this crazy schedule. So this was until the permanent order. Finally, we hired lawyers. As you know, if you've been, they're not cheap. It's like $200 an hour or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, I go into court, and well, during the temporary order, hey, well, you got to pay child support. And I'm like, well, I was taking care of her most of the time while she was out fling dinging with her new boyfriend. If anybody should be getting the child support, it's me because I'm the one doing everything with the kid. Well, she ain't doing. No, she's the mother. How can because you don't care about your child if you're not paying her child support? It's like, so she don't have to do nothing and she cares about him, but I got to pay child support to prove I care about him. So I
Yeah.
mean, right. My own lawyer's telling me this. Basically, you're not going to get a fair shake from the system. I'm like, all right, if that's what makes the judge happy, I'll pay the child support. I paid the child support. I went in and I think I got maybe another day, but it was such a minuscule amount of time compared to what she got with him.
Yeah.
So we stuck with that schedule for a little while. As he got older, he wanted to spend more time with me. She got a boyfriend who was living with her at the time, and he was trying to replace me as his dad. And it's like my son saw that and he was acting out towards him and didn't like this guy at all. Okay. So she calls me up. "Oh, he's acting up at my house. I think we should put him on medication." It's like, well, he's telling you why he's acting up because he don't like your boyfriend. You're trying to force him to be his new dad. All of a sudden, I got to fight her to keep the kid off of medication. Okay. I had my mother, my father. I had her parents, her mother and her father had taken my side, saying this kid don't need me. Both of his godparents are in. No, no, she's in court. So finally, I said, we got the guardian ad litem involved. I don't know if you ever heard of those. They come in and
Yeah.
check out the situation in both homes.
Yeah.
Got to court. He was about younger. Didn't put him on medication. She waits until he turns 18. He's a legal adult. She takes him down, puts him on medication anyway. It's like, are you flipping kidding me here? All of a sudden, uh, my son, he ain't talking to me much, okay? I get home from work one day. I walk in the house. His room's completely whipped out. He moved out, moved in with his mother. I tried to contact him on Facebook. The message I got was, "You paying support fathers. You should give mom more money. You want to see more, but you're not willing to pay your fair share. My sister's other father willingly gives mom more money, and you should too." It was just I'm looking at this message like, what am I reading here? What is she putting in this poor kid's head? It was such a disgusting letter. And after that, he wouldn't say, I have not spoken to my son in 8 years, which is bad enough when your own son, I mean, we were best friends growing up. 8 years, he would not say a word. As bad as that was, he wouldn't talk to my mother, his grandmother. 80-year-old woman never did nothing but spoil this kid rotten since the day he was born. Wouldn't say a word to her. Just recently, after 8 years, he finally contacted her and they went out to lunch. But, you can never get 8 years back you've lost seeing your son, and he still won't talk to me at all. So, I mean, this shows the broken system that we have right here, where no parent should ever go 8 years or any years without talking to their own child. It's been just a one struggle after another.
Man, it's a lot to unpack with that
Yeah.
conversation. And wow, I'm really sorry to hear that, bro. Like 8, man, that's terrible, bro. Like
That's
8 years
tough.
without
Yeah.
talking to your kid, man. Like, man, I pray
And
that y'all
well,
find
it's like you're
somebody.
doing, fighting the fight. I'm with that. That's what keeps me going. Is guys like you, guys like me, we're fighting the fight to try to, I can never restore what happened to me, but if we can help the guy behind us, the young kid who's just going through it now, then that's what
Yeah,
keeps you going.
absolutely, man. Man, that's sad, bro. And I do want to comment on a few things that you mentioned, because I went through
Yeah.
similar things that you actually went through. So when I actually won physical custody of my son, like I went to go pick him up, and like his mom was evading me, right? So she wasn't answering the phone. She wasn't what she was supposed to be. What we agreed that I would pick him up at, you know what I'm saying? So I finally was able to track her down, get the police involved, and they was like, yeah, your son's here, but we can't like force her to give him to you. You know what I'm saying? You got to take her to
Right.
court.
Yep.
And I'm like, bro, like I have a court order in my hand right here saying that I'm
That's
supposed
all
to get
bad.
him today, and you're telling me I got to go back to court because she's not complying with the order, bro. Like, man, you can't imagine my
If you aren't
frustration.
complying with the order, watch how quick the police get involved if you don't comply. Oh, they're all
That's
for
what I'm
getting involved
saying.
then. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Y'all didn't even have paperwork involved, and it was like at your door, like,
Yep.
yeah, he got to go with his mom. That's the law. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
That's the law. You got to go to court to see your own kid.
yeah, I think it's a lot of bias and double standards involved with, these family law type situations, bro. And we really just got to stick together and educate each other because it could be very frustrating and disappointing going through stuff like that. And it's also not good for the kid. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah, that's as
um,
bad as are the parents. I mean, I was an adult. I couldn't take the situation anymore. Him as a kid, he had no chance. So I can't even
yeah,
blame him that he don't talk to me. His mind broke. It was due to broke. All the just she could never put her son first. It was always what she wanted first. Who cares how it affects her son? I remember we got into an argument one time, and we went to court, and I had a little bit of time, and she said, "Well, I got to hire a babysitter, for the time he's with me. So if you want him a little bit more time, you can take him. That'll save me money on a babysitter, and you can see him a little more." I'm like, "All right, well, I shouldn't have to beg to see my own kid to begin with, but it's better than nothing." Then we got an
yeah,
argument over something, and she sent over a message week next took the schedule that we had agreed on. Forget how it affects our son changing his schedule. Now we have an argument. Now we're going back to the original schedule. You don't get the extra time anymore after he had been in that schedule for like a year. So finally, I brought this to the court's attention. And I know you said you finally got custody of your children. I finally got it to the point where I got 50-50 custody. I had a minute for minute at the same time as she did in writing
yeah.
through the courts. Okay. Now it costs just as much to live at my house as it does hers, but I still had to pay her child support, even though he was minute for minute at my house. Figure that one out.
Man, I can't figure it out, bro. It's uh, I
Well,
don't
he eats
understand
at
how.
my house. He's got my house. Costs just as much to live. Why am I still? But it's all about the money with the courts. They're getting rich, so they don't really care what's fair and what's not.
They don't care. They don't care, man. And it's really sad because dads get the short end of the deal all the time. So, um, man, that's a tough one, bro.
Well,
I
I've done the
honestly,
research. What's that?
I feel like you're taking this very well, bro. Like the way you're talking about it, it's like
Yeah.
you've learned to.
Educate yourself's the key. I've really educated myself on the subject where, the federal government, they match dollar for dollar to each state the money they take in child support. So the
Yeah,
state's got a good reason to keep it high because they're making a lot of money from the federal government off of it. And that's why
yeah,
dads get the short end of the stick because they usually make more money than women. So the more money they can take in from dads, the more the federal government's going to match it. So that's
yeah,
that's where the money is. And families, they suffer because the courts are getting rich off of it.
yeah. So how old is your son now?
Now he's 27, but I haven't heard squat from him since he was about 18, 19. And like I said, he just recently contacted my mother and they went for lunch, which is a step in the right direction. But I did hear he moved out on his own. So, once you're living on your own and he ain't got his mom squawking in his ear every day living in her house, then you start to see the world differently as a man, than when you're living at home. So I'm hoping he's
Yeah,
starting to see that there's two sides to every story, and all he's ever had yacked in his ear was one side of the story. So from my
yeah,
lips to God's ears, I pray he's starting to see the light. I don't know. Um, Now I say he hasn't talked to me in 8 years. I do. I work at a restaurant, and about a month ago, he actually came in, and he didn't even acknowledge me. He's like, I guess he was working for DoorDash. He walks in. I'm here to pick up a DoorDash order for so and so, and I'm looking, and I'm like, Alex. He's like, yes, I'm here to. Because like he didn't want nothing to do with me. He just wanted the DoorDash order. So didn't say a word to me. We gave him the order. Have a good night, you too, and just walked out. He had no interest in speaking to me or having anything to do with me. And that it opened up old wounds too, because I haven't seen him in 8 years. You kind of bury a lot, but seeing him like that, it all came rushing to me how much I've lost as a father, how much he's lost as a son. Just yeah, yeah. It's just sad. It's so very sad at this point.
so talk about how you have, you know, bottled up those emotions and like overcome the fact that your relationship with your son has been estranged for the last 8 years, man. Like how do you deal with that? Like,
At first, you get very angry about it. You get angry, and you're mad at the courts, you're mad at your ex, you're mad at everybody. But anger only takes you so far. Then when you come out on the other side of it, then you start to say, well, there's no saving what I've lost. There's no saving what my son's lost. But like I said, when I went through the courts, I didn't have the internet. It was before the internet. I didn't have the internet to go to and look up, the father's rights movement or the child support superhero. I thought I was alone. So I mean,
yeah,
certainly spreading awareness you're doing, I'm doing, and I've had people write into my page, young men who are just going through the court system now. Thank you for creating this page. I thought I was alone. I'm so glad you're there. I didn't know something like this existed, and just seeing that I'm helping the next generation, and we're never going to solve this problem in my lifetime or your lifetime, but the things we're doing, we're setting the base now for the future generations to solve the problem. And that's what keeps you going, is knowing you're helping out the guy behind you. That's what, nobody else is going to have to live the hell that you and I have gone through. And I think, when you're doing a good thing, that kind of makes up for a little bit of what you lost.
most definitely, man. And again, bro, I'm sorry that you have gone through this. I can only imagine like how tough that has been on not only you but your entire family. You said your mom just recently reconnected with him. Did she
Yeah,
kind of
she
talk
had
to you
nothing to
about?
do with nothing.
Yeah, did she kind of talk to you about how that conversation went and how the reintegration was?
Yeah, she said, he had matured a lot since we had seen him last, and I told her right off the bat. I said, don't even mention my name because I'm a trigger point for him. If she even mentions my name, he's gonna go into defensive mode. I said, don't mention me. Just go have lunch, have a good time with him,
Yeah,
and he said, Stan, we can do this again sometime, and I said, it's tough. Even if he does choose to, it's like I'm talking to a stranger now. It's like, after 8 years, the last time I seen him as a kid, he's a grown man now. I mean, if he walked in the door right now, I wouldn't even know the first word to say about him. She said he
yeah,
didn't mention me at all, so apparently he's not to the point where he wants to talk to me. But I said my mother's 80 years old. If she had passed, I never got to see her grandkid again before she passed away. It would have been a tragedy. So I am glad at least he was strong enough to contact her, and she has somewhat of a relationship with him now. But I mean, you got 8 years of hate that's been put in his head. It's going to be overcome in a day. And I know it's going to be a long process. And like I said, I hope someday he sees, there's two sides to every story and all he's ever heard is one. But certainly, I don't think, me telling jokes and the comedy that I do, he's kind of take it as, I take it as I'm spreading awareness, but I think he kind of takes it as I'm his mom telling jokes, telling
Yeah,
jokes about her. But that's kind of my therapy. I probably would have been drip crazy by now if you don't laugh about it. I mean,
yeah,
it's either laugh about it or let it drive you crazy. I chose to laugh about it, but I'm
yeah,
sure I'm sure she don't think it's funny for sure, and I'm sure she's drilled in his head he shouldn't think it's funny either. So I'm sure they
yeah,
don't take it as me spreading awareness. They take it as me attacking them, which it's
yeah,
easy to say when you got everything and you're not on my side of the story.
yeah, man. That's a slippery slope. But like you said, you gotta, try to laugh about it to keep from crying. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh,
um,
for
and
sure.
another thing, one of the things that I did because I wanted to make sure that my side of the story was told. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
why I wrote a book about my situation. So and people could check that out on my website, nicholasjwedlow.com. Um, and I
What's the
wanted
name of
to
the book?
always. I'm sorry.
What's the name of the book?
Overnight Father.
Overnight Father. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Where
So
can they get it again on your website? What's your website?
it's if you see the link like right up under my face, it's at my website,
Yep.
nicholasjwedlow.com, and it's also available
Okay.
on Amazon too. Yeah, it's on Amazon too.
Charlie
Overnight Father.
Yeah, so that's a where you're spreading to.
Yeah, man. So and like I said, like because I knew, he was being kind of coached and influenced by, his other parent. You know what I'm saying? So like I wanted to make sure that my side of the story was always there and available for him to, hear my side of the story if he was ever interested at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's always
Yeah.
going to be there. And the reason why I did that was not only because it was therapeutic for me to talk about everything I went through, but to share it with other fathers who are going through situations like me and you and show them how to navigate through that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole purpose behind it. It's kind of twofold. I want him and everybody involved to be able to hear my side of the story. You know what I'm saying? So um,
Right.
you do yours through comedy, and I'm a writer, so I kind of wrote a book about everything to leave that stamp, man, because it's a
But
tough
that helped
situation.
you, right? Writing that book, that helped you therapeutically, that you were able to get it off your chest through writing, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So
That's the same thing with being
um,
comedy in the movie. And like I said, with the movie, I think I can hit a lot of people. So if I can get the message out, I think I can hit a lot of people with this movie. So the world needs
yeah,
a new superhero. It's going to be on Amazon Prime. We're still filming now, so you can't find it yet. But hopefully,
okay,
in a few months, we get it on Amazon Prime. And it's a funny movie. It's going to make you laugh. But while I'm making you laugh, you're going to see dad's side, the kid's side, the mom's side, the court side. We're trying to get everything in there. And I think it's
yeah,
going to be a good
man.
hit.
I'm looking forward to it, and I plan on staying in touch with you because I want to see this thing, because I can relate to it, and I like a good laugh. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward
Laughter is
to
the
it.
best medicine.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I look forward to it, and I can't wait for you to finish it up, man. So talk to us about the process of actually filming a movie, man. Like that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's as tough as stand-up comedies. I mean, you do it once, you make people laugh, you get off stage. Now in acting, it's kind of like take one, take two, take three, take four. You're on your feet all day. So much work. I mean, it literally 2 hours worth of filming. I get like 30 seconds of film out of. I mean, it's like so much work for a little bit of film. So it's taken long. We've been at it over a year now, and we almost got it done. One of the actors, he got in a car accident, and he's healing up. So we got to wait for him to heal up before we can finish filming his scenes. But when I wrote it, I tried to be careful. I didn't want to just because I've been accused of being like probably a mommy basher or a baby mama basher, and I'm not trying to bash any baby mamas. So I tried to be careful and make sure I don't just tell my point of view. I try to get the female point of view in there too because there's two sides to every story. So I'm sure if you talk to my ex, she'd have a whole different story than what I'm telling you here. But I saw the situation through my eyes. She saw it through her eyes. In the end, our son was the one who lost, not us. So I try to get that, from day one going through the court system to kind of overcoming it to how to solve the problem by doing what you and I are doing. So I really hope it's a huge success, and more than that, it spreads awareness and helps other fathers who are going through the same thing as we're going through.
Yeah, man. And it really hits close to home when you said that your son is the one who lost, and
Yep.
that's a harsh reality, man. Like, because these kids are actually losing, bro. Like, because you need both parents, but if they're constantly battling each other over the kid, it's really impacting the child, and it can leave some lasting wounds with the child. And that's obvious in your situation because the past 8 years it's been you know
Yep.
very minimal of a relationship, bro. And that's, man, I can't
Well,
imagine.
I said earlier the post that went viral on the page was 14 parents a week commit suicide due to child access issues. And there's been
Yeah,
people out there, oh, that's not a proven stat. You can't. Okay, so what if it's 10 people a week? Is that okay? What if it's 5 parents a week? Is that okay? What if it's 1 parent a week? I mean, how many parents got to commit suicide a week? That's one of my old sayings. I mean, how many children and parents have to go decades without speaking to each other? How many parents got to commit suicide? How many children do you have to commit suicide before we as a people realize this system isn't working? So how many more? It's the
yeah,
new movement. How many more movement? How many more parents or children got to commit suicide before we start changing these laws and say this system is not working?
man, that's a great question, man. It shouldn't be any. No parent should, what I'm saying, have to feel like,
Zero. That's the correct answer.
yeah,
Exactly, zero. But
it should be zero, man. Nobody should be
with a
pushed to the
quote,
point where they feel like they don't matter anymore because of the family law system. That's just terrible,
yeah.
man. I know
It was a
nobody's
problem with me.
perfect,
Like
right?
I said, I mean, my mother, my family, he hasn't talked to my side of the family. They had nothing to do with nothing, but parental alienation, it rubs off onto even pets, they say. If you had a household pet, they don't want nothing to do with it. It's like their mind is so messed up from this. It's very sad. Very, very sad.
Yeah, man. Okay. So let's try to get back to the positive because it's what I'm saying, we kind of talked
Yeah, we've
about a
been
lot of the negative.
yeah, right.
Talked about a lot of the negative. I want to keep the conversation kind of optimistic and talking about some of the great things that you're doing now. I understand that you've been through some hardships, but now it seems like things are kind of taking off for you. Not in every category, obviously. I'm sure you would love to have a better relationship with your son, but you personally, now you're spreading a message, right? So your focus now is educating fathers on and helping them prevent what you've gone through. And I think that's a really
Yeah.
positive thing that you're doing. So let's kind of talk about how you're going to keep moving that message forward and any future projects other than the movie that you have your hands on right now.
Well, it's about helping the guy behind you, as I said. If you can do that, the problem's not going to be solved in our lifetime. But if we can help the next generation never have to go through that, and you go through the anger at first, then the loneliness, then you start to fight back. You start to get that drive where, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm not going to let it drive me crazy. And certainly 8 years is a long time to go without speaking to your child, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I said, I finally see he's finally talking to my mother again. There is some hope. Okay. So where there is some hope at the light at the end of the tunnel, just know you're not alone. And I did have one lady contact me on the page and said, I've been 5 years without talking to my child. I don't know how through this. And I said, you get through it by knowing you're not alone. There's guys like me out there who's been through it, guys like you. If you were the only person, then it'd be something you're doing wrong. But,
Yeah.
when this is a worldwide problem, then, it's you're not alone in this. It's not nothing you're doing. It's a worldwide problem. It's the system that needs to change. And certainly fighting back, making this movie, I can hope it takes off. And if it does, maybe we can make a second part to the movie. Like I said, the page I got on Facebook, the Child Support Superhero, it's growing every week. There's so many comments coming on that page, just people telling their stories. And I've done a couple of group meetings where it's a meeting for parents who are alienated. And I've had, I think the first one, 4 people showed up. Second one, 3 people showed up. And, we just told our stories and we leaned on each other's shoulders. And I think the last one, I did, a lady started crying because she said her daughter keeps her as a friend on Facebook, but she won't talk to her. And the only reason she keeps her on Facebook is just to show her what she's missing out on. And she started crying, and it's like everybody else in the group came and like, we know we're going through the same thing, and we offered her the support. There is support out there. So, if
Yeah.
you ever feel like you're alone, go to a guy like you, go to a guy like me, and certainly we're going to get you through the tough times, and hopefully show you there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That it don't last forever, and maybe a lifetime. But you're going to salvage something at the end. So if you can salvage what's been lost, you can't worry about what's been lost. You got to look toward the future and what can you gain. And hopefully someday I gain my son back and we can have somewhat of a relationship before I pass away. So I'd tell anybody out there, you're not alone, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. You got to get there.
Most definitely, man. Powerful words, bro. And also, if you need any extras for this movie, man, let me know, bro. I can play a mean guy. I can play a mean random guy just sitting in the bar, minding his business, bro. So
we'll get you in as one of the superheroes because you're superhero dad. You're fighting the fight right with me, so you'd have to be one of the superheroes for sure.
Hey, man, let me know, bro. That'll be awesome. And also, I want to bring up Rose's comment, man. He said, I disagree, man. This systematic problem ends with us. I promise you that. So, Rosa, man, shout out to Rosa, man. He's a great guy. One of my mentors. He actually gave me the opportunity to, kind of use this platform to create this show, man. So, it's one of my bros, and he is like dead set on, making sure this
I
problem.
admire his passion. I mean, I'm with him. I hope we can solve the problem. But when child support, it's not $1 million a year industry. It's $1 billion a year industry. When people are making billions of dollars off of family law, it's tough to overthrow that. I mean, I know it's my heart, your heart, his heart's in the right place. But if you're going to overthrow $1 billion a year organization, we need to all come together as a people. So hopefully we can do that sooner rather than later for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I most definitely agree. And I see it from both sides. I definitely, understand, Rose's passion and I'm right there with him too. But we also got to figure out, the strategy because like you said, man, it's $1 billion industry. So like, how can you really overturn that, in a short
Well, it's
time?
kind of like they're doing with the Black Lives Matter thing right now. Okay, when you get to the point where you don't care about money, all you care about is what's right or wrong. Okay, and they're doing that with Black Lives Matter right now. Whether you agree with it or whether you don't agree with it, everybody's talking about it. Okay, so I mean, when we get to the point where everybody's talking about family law, that's when the money's not going to be important anymore. We want to do what's right. We don't care about the money. So that's what you got to get the country doing, is doing what's right rather than what's profitable.
Yeah, man. And the more outreach we get with, platforms like this is going to happen, man. I see it growing. I see it growing weekly. We're getting more and more people tuning in, more and more comments, more and more fathers like you who are willing to come and share their stories. And it's all growing right now, man. So I can see
the internet's helping. Like I said, when I went through family law, there was no internet. I didn't have nobody to turn down. Now through the power of the internet, we can hit a lot of people. So like you said, it's growing by the week, and I hope it keeps on growing.
Most definitely, man. So at this point, I want to give you the opportunity to share any more advice that you have for, fathers who were in the shoes that you were in years ago when you were going through all this stuff.
My advice would be is don't try to handle it yourself. Like I said, I didn't have nobody to turn to when I was going through it, and that was a very difficult time for me. Was you feel like you're alone. Now with the power of the internet, use it. It's at your access. There is help. You're not alone. Don't be the next statistic. Don't be the next guy who's going to commit suicide because you can't see your child. You go. You find guys like Nicholas. You find guys like me. Get the help you need. Okay, because it can turn into a mental problem real quick. If you feel like you're alone, then that's a very dark place to be. Okay, so go find guys. Realize you're not alone. Talk about it. Get it off your chest. Talk to people who've been through it. Because I've talked to people who haven't been through the system, and they have no idea. Talk to other people who've been through the system, who've been through exactly what you've been through, and that's where you're going to find healing. That's where you're going to find the love. That's where you're going to find compassion because they know what you're going through. They're not just saying, yeah, I know. No, you don't know unless you've been through it. So I'd say absolutely get the help you need. Know you're not alone. And that's when you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Man, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. You're not alone. You got to stay positive. Use your resources. Reach out to people who've been through it. Um, and that's how you kind of get through it, man. It's not an easy process. There's no cookie cutter way to deal with these situations. So
And you're going to get beat down too. They're going to be beaten down every step of the way. So it's kind of how you take the punches. You got to roll with the punches. All right, that didn't work out. Get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going forward. So I
yeah,
think Babe Ruth once said, "It's tough to be the person who never gives up. So be the guy who never gives up, and you'll get to your goal. Get your kids back."
yeah. It really boils down to resiliency, man. You got to be resilient. Like
Yeah, I
it's not an
mean,
easy task. Um, and you just got to believe and stay positive and use your right
have you
resources.
ever had a moment where you thought to yourself, "I'm just going to quit. This ain't worth it"? I mean, I think we all have, right?
Yeah, man.
And what got you through that? I mean, what did
I
you do
talk
to
I
keep
talk
going?
about I talk about that in my book too, man. Like when I actually try to give up at one point, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
We all hit
it,
that moment. I mean,
it
what got
just
you through it though? Why didn't you give up?
honestly, man, like it just didn't sit. It didn't sit well with me. Like I felt like um I was doing to my son what my father did to me, and I knew how that affected me as a kid, and I was like, man, like I don't want him to feel like I just gave up on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want him to feel like that. So I dusted myself off. I went back to the drawing board. I got around some positive people who were, believing in me and building me up. And, financially, I budgeted to where I could afford a lawyer who was willing to fight for
Right.
me. You know what I'm saying? And it all came together, bro. And it started with just a belief system and a little bit of drive to where I didn't want to impact my son the way my father's absence impacted me. And that was enough to keep me going. You know what I'm saying? So
It turned you
I
into a
want
better person, right? Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to break that generational curse. So
Yeah.
um that's what kept me going. And that's why I wanted to put that in the book so I can like promote that and try to help
Right.
people, self-identify their strengths so they can use it to their advantage instead of allowing people to just beat them down and keep them down. Like, yeah, you may lose a battle, but you know what I'm saying? You got to go back to the
Don't
drawing
lose the
board. Like
war.
they
Lose
want
the
you to give,
battle, but don't lose the war, right?
yeah, they want you to give up. So if you actually give them what they want, you're never gonna
They
get an
win, right?
opportunity
Yeah.
to what I'm saying, get a better situation in court. Or in the history of my custody battle, bro, we went to court like 7 times. 7 times.
Yeah, it's a very costly thing too. I know that it was.
Yeah. And
Then
I
instead of
and
seeing
I
that you're trying to fight for your kid, they're asking me, "Well, if you're paying so much child support, how are you finding the money to hire these lawyers?" It's like, so instead of respecting the fact that I hired a lawyer and I'm here trying to fight for my kid, not give me flack because I got too much money to hire a lawyer. It's like you
yeah,
kind of
it's
just look
being used
around like,
against
what
me.
is going
It's
on?
being used against me that I'm actually trying to do the right thing and fight for my
Yeah,
kid.
that
Like,
I'm trying to do exactly.
yeah, like that's comical,
Yeah, I think
man.
we
But
all got those things we say. Yeah, our parents did to us that. I'm never going to do that. My parent did this to me, and I'll never do that to my kids. So I think we've all had that moment that you found your justice in. So that's a good thing that you were able to tap into that to find your call. That's cool.
yeah, man. So, and that's my motivation. I think every father has to find their own motivation. It may not work for everybody. Some other fathers may have a different driving force that allows them to pursue time with their children. But that was just mine, speaking from personal experience. And like I said, we went to court like 7 different times, bro. And um, I think about 5 of those I petitioned the court. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
it's been a journey, man. It really has, and I think it's all been worth it. I think the proof is in the pudding. And all my children will see the type of father that I am, and you know, we can continue fostering that relationship and keep it going. And like I said, like my goal now is to just share that knowledge that I learned after working with all these lawyers, after going to court all these different times, share with other fathers who may not be so well versed with family law. Like I'm not saying I'm a lawyer, I'm not, but I've learned a lot,
Right.
bro, and I know
Pass on
like
what you've learned.
yeah, I've learned a
Yeah.
lot, and I know a lot of the tricks of the trade and how it operates. So I just wanted to, pay it forward and help out other fathers, man. That's the goal. I'm not saying I'm the
I've
perfect
had a lot of
father.
people contact my page asking for legal advice. I'm like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just dad fighting the fight. I don't know. I got no legal advice for you. I can give you
Yeah,
parenting advice, but that's about it. Yeah.
yeah, man. And I can, share my experiences with you that I actually overcame with the family law system, but I can't give you
Yeah.
legal advice. I can only, provide some guidance for you and, give you strategies that I took that were successful for me. Um, and that's really the goal. It'll at least give you a
Well, it's
starting
good
point.
advice. If you've been through the system, then you're much more educated than somebody who hasn't been through it. So guys like me and you, we've paid the dues to be able to pass on what we've learned to someone who hasn't.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Um, but yeah, Dennis, man, like I'm really glad I got the opportunity to talk to you today, bro. Um,
Glad
I
I got
really
to be on here. I mean, I like what you're doing. I like this movement. I love these meetings. I think you're doing a good job spreading awareness. So glad to see I'm not alone. That's great.
Man, I appreciate it, man. And I'm gonna make sure I go support your YouTube page. Everybody watching right now, make sure you go look up Dennis Wirth on YouTube, the child support superhero, and be on the lookout for his movie coming out soon. Do you have a title for your movie yet? Excuse me.
The world needs a new superhero.
The world needs a new
So
superhero.
should be done in a few months. We're going to enter at some film festivals on Amazon Prime, and hopefully once it's on Amazon Prime, we're hoping it goes viral and we're spreading a good message.
Nice, man. Nice. I'm looking forward to it. The world needs a new superhero. I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'm gonna stay in touch with you. And again, let me know if you need some extras, bro. I got you.
Thanks. I appreciate your time, Nicholas. Thank you for having me on. And to every dad out there, you're a superhero too. Good luck to you.
For sure, man. So without further ado, man, we're gonna close out this meeting. It's been a great and very productive discussion on fatherhood and family law and everything in between. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday, man.
Been
Y'all
an
have a
honor.
good one. Signing off, man. Take it easy. Nice to meet you, bro.
You too. Bye bye.